Marcus Wellington was 39 years old when his world collapsed in the span of 18 hours. It started with a phone call from his sister Jennifer at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday, and it ended with him sitting alone in his home office at dawn, watching security footage that made him question everything he thought he knew about the woman he'd hired to watch his daughter. But let me back up, because the real story started 6 months earlier on the worst day of Marcus's life. His wife Sophia died on a Tuesday morning. Aneurysm, no warning. She kissed their 4-year-old daughter Lily goodbye, drove to her Pilates class, and collapsed in the parking lot, dead before the ambulance arrived. Lily was in preschool when it happened. Marcus was in a board meeting, phone on silent. By the time he saw the missed calls, Sophia had been gone for 43 minutes. 4-year-olds don't understand death. They understand absence. Lily kept asking when Mommy was coming home, kept setting a place for her at dinner. Marcus would find his daughter standing in their bedroom closet, face buried in Sophia's dresses, breathing in the fading scent of her perfume. Marcus tried everything, hired 3 different nannies in 2 months. None of them lasted. Lily was too difficult, they said, too attached, too traumatized. She'd scream when Marcus left for work, refuse to eat, lock herself in closets for hours. The child psychologist said it was normal grief behavior, said she needed stability, routine, patience. The 4th nanny lasted 6 days before quitting via text message. That's when Marcus's sister Jennifer got involved. She lived in Connecticut, ran a nonprofit, had opinions about everything Marcus was doing wrong, and she was especially vocal about his 5th hiring decision. Her name is Rosa Delgado, Marcus had told Jennifer over the phone. She's 52, from Guatemala, came highly recommended by— You didn't even do a background check, did you? Jennifer cut in. Of course I did. She's been working in childcare for— Marcus, you hired someone off a recommendation from your neighbor. You know nothing about this woman, nothing about her history, her family, her real qualifications, and you're leaving her alone with Lily? Marcus rubbed his eyes. He hadn't slept more than 4 hours straight since Sophia died. What do you want me to do, Jennifer? Lily needs someone. I can't keep taking time off work. The company is— Install cameras. Marcus stopped. What? Nanny cams. Install them throughout the house. See how she really treats Lily when you're not there. If she's good, great. If not, you'll have evidence. That feels like a violation of privacy. It's your house, your child, your right to make sure she's safe. The conversation bothered Marcus, but Jennifer kept pushing, called him twice more that week, sent him articles about nanny abuse cases, statistics about unreported misconduct. By Friday, Marcus's anxiety was a living thing, coiling around his chest. He installed the cameras on Saturday while Rosa was off. Small ones, hidden in picture frames, smoke detectors, book spines. 6 cameras covering the living room, kitchen, Lily's bedroom, playroom, and both hallways. The footage uploaded automatically to cloud storage. He could access it from his phone anywhere, anytime. Marcus felt guilty doing it. Rosa had been wonderful so far. Lily actually smiled around her, actually ate meals without tantrums. The house felt almost peaceful for the first time in months, but Jennifer's voice stayed in his head. You don't really know her. For 3 weeks, Marcus didn't watch any footage, couldn't bring himself to. Then came that Thursday night phone call from Jennifer. "Have you checked the cameras?" she asked without preamble. "What? No. Why?" "Marcus, I drove by your house today around 3 p.m. Rosa's car was there, but I saw a man leaving. Hispanic guy, maybe 30s, carrying a backpack." Marcus's blood went cold. "What?" "I didn't want to alarm you, but if she's bringing unauthorized people into your home around your daughter," Marcus hung up and immediately opened the camera app, started scrolling through that afternoon's footage. 3:00 p.m., timestamp, living room camera. There, a man he'd never seen before, walking through his house. Rosa was with him, talking quietly in Spanish. They went into the kitchen. The man opened the backpack, started pulling things out. Marcus's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the phone. He grabbed his laptop, pulled up the full footage on the bigger screen. Started from the beginning of the day. Before I tell you what Marcus saw, I need you to understand something. Because this isn't just a story about a housekeeper and hidden cameras. This is about the things we miss when we're drowning in our own pain, about the people who show up in our darkest moments and carry weight we never knew existed. And if you've ever judged someone without knowing their story, if you've ever been so consumed by your own suffering that you became blind to everything else, this is going to hit you hard. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel, because what Marcus discovered over the next 12 hours didn't just change his opinion of Rosa. It shattered every assumption he'd made about who deserves trust and who deserves suspicion. You need to hear this. Marcus started with the morning footage. 7:15 a.m., Rosa arriving, letting herself in with the key Marcus had given her. She went straight to the kitchen, started preparing breakfast. Nothing unusual. But then Marcus noticed something he'd never paid attention to before. Rosa was limping, not dramatically, just a slight favor of her right leg. Like every step hurt, but she was trying to hide it. She gripped the counter when she thought no one was looking, closed her eyes, took a breath, then continued moving. Lily came downstairs at 7:40 a.m., still in pajamas, hair a mess. Marcus watched his daughter's face transform when she saw Rosa. A smile, a real smile. Lily ran to her, and Rosa caught her in a hug that made Marcus's throat tight. They ate breakfast together, Rosa speaking softly in Spanish, Lily responding in her limited vocabulary. Rosa had been teaching her. Marcus hadn't even noticed. When had that started? After breakfast, Rosa did something Marcus had never seen. She pulled out a photo album, sat with Lily on the couch, and opened it carefully. Marcus zoomed in on the screen. Photos of Sophia. Rosa had made a memory book for Lily. Marcus's vision blurred. He watched Rosa point to each picture, helping Lily remember. "Your mama loved you so much," Rosa said in accented English. "See here? She's smiling because you make her so happy." Lily touched the photos with small fingers. "Mama's in heaven." "Yes, mi amor, but she watches you every day. She sees how brave you are." They sat there for 20 minutes, going through memories. Rosa wasn't trying to replace Sophia. She was keeping her alive for a little girl who was forgetting her mother's face. Marcus had to pause the video, couldn't see through his tears. He fast-forwarded to the afternoon. 2 p.m. Rosa was doing laundry, folding clothes in the living room, while Lily colored at the coffee table. Then Rosa's phone rang. She answered in Spanish, and her whole body went rigid. Marcus couldn't understand most of it, but he caught a few words. Hospital. Surgery. No tengo suficiente dinero. I don't have enough money. Rosa hung up, stood there holding the phone, her face crumbling. Then she caught herself, glanced at Lily, forced her expression neutral, went back to folding laundry like nothing happened. At 2:47 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Rosa answered it. The man from Jennifer's description stood there. Rosa let him in, and they went to the kitchen where Lily couldn't hear. Marcus unmuted the audio, turned the volume up. Rosa, no puedes seguir así, the man was saying. You can't keep going like this. Tengo que hacerlo, Carlos. No tengo otra opción. I have no other option. Carlos pulled documents from his backpack. Medical bills. Marcus zoomed in, could barely make out the hospital name. Guatemala. The amounts made his stomach drop. Over 15,000 in surgical costs. Tu hija necesita la cirugía ahora, Carlos said. Your daughter needs the surgery now. Ya esperaste demasiado. You've waited too long. Rosa's voice broke. Estoy ahorrando cada centavo, pero el señor Wellington me paga cada 2 semanas y todavía necesito. Let me loan you the money. No, Carlos, no. Already you help too much. Rosa, ella es mi sobrina. She's my niece. Déjame ayudar. Let me help. Rosa was crying now, trying to stay quiet so Lily wouldn't hear. I send money home every week, everything I can spare. But the surgery cost more than I expected, and she's getting worse. The doctors say if we don't do it soon. She couldn't finish. Carlos pulled her into a hug. We'll figure it out. I brought some money today. It's not much. But Marcus watched Carlos hand Rosa an envelope. She tried to refuse. He insisted. Finally she took it, clutching it like a lifeline. Your employer, Carlos said. He seems like a good man. Maybe if you explain. No. Rosa's voice was firm. He just lost his wife. His little girl is suffering. I cannot ask him for money now. I cannot add my burden to his. But, Rosa, I will figure it out. Dios proveerá. God will provide. After Carlos left, Rosa went to the bathroom. Marcus switched to that camera, watched her lean against the sink, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. She cried for maybe 3 minutes. Then she washed her face, fixed her hair, and walked back to the living room where Lily was waiting. Miss Rosa, can we play blocks? Of course, Princesa. And Rosa's smile was genuine. Whatever pain she carried, she never let Lily see it. Marcus sat back from his laptop. His sister's warning echoed in his head. You don't really know her. She was right. He didn't. So Marcus kept watching. He went back to the beginning, pulled footage from Rosa's first day 3 weeks ago, watched how she'd approached Lily, who was hiding under the dining room table. screaming that she wanted her mommy. Rosa didn't try to pull her out, didn't bribe her or scold her. She just sat on the floor near the table and started talking about her own daughter back in Guatemala, about how hard it is when the people we love are far away, about how it's okay to be sad. Lily had stopped screaming, started listening. "You know what I do when I miss my daughter," Rosa said softly. "I look at the moon because I know she's looking at the same moon, even though we're in different countries. The moon connects us." That night, Rosa had taken Lily outside to look at the moon, and Lily had smiled for the first time in weeks. Marcus scrolled through more footage, found a day when Lily had a complete meltdown, throwing toys, screaming, inconsolable. Rosa sat with her through all of it. Didn't yell, didn't walk away, just held Lily when she'd allow it and stayed close when she wouldn't. "It's okay to be angry," Rosa kept saying. "Your feelings are allowed here, all of them." Another day, Rosa had brought homemade soup because Lily mentioned her mom used to make soup when she was sick. Rosa had recreated it from memory after Lily described it. The look on his daughter's face when she tasted it, recognition, comfort, a piece of her mother returned, made Marcus have to pause the video again. He found footage of Rosa reading to Lily every night before bed, the same book Sophia used to read, in the same rocking chair, and when Lily would cry for her mama, Rosa never said, "Don't cry." She said, I know it hurts, but I'm here. You're not alone." There was footage of Rosa using her lunch breaks to clean things Marcus had neglected. Sophia's plants that were dying. Rosa watered them, talked to them, brought them back to life, because your mama loved these. Footage of Rosa organizing Sophia's jewelry, not to take anything, but to preserve it carefully for Lily when she was older. Footage of Rosa praying. Every morning before Lily woke up, Rosa would kneel in the living room and pray. Marcus turned up the volume, heard her whisper in Spanish, "Please, God, help me be enough for this little girl. Help me ease her pain, and please, please let my daughter survive until I can afford her surgery." Marcus was full-on crying now. He pulled up his banking app, looked at his account balance. The Wellington family wealth was substantial. Money he'd inherited, money from the tech company he'd founded, investments that generated more passive income than he could spend. He'd been so lost in grief he hadn't even thought about. His phone rang. Jennifer. "Well?" she demanded. "Did you check the footage? Did you see that man?" Marcus's voice came out rough. "I saw him." And? "And he's her brother-in-law, bringing her money to help pay for her daughter's emergency surgery in Guatemala." Silence. "Jennifer, Rosa's daughter is dying. She needs a surgery that costs over $15,000. Rosa's been sending every spare dollar home, and it's still not enough. That's why she was limping. She's been walking to work to save bus fare. That's why she brings her own lunch in a paper bag. She's not eating much to save money, and she never said a word to me because she didn't want to burden me." More silence. "The cameras were a good idea," Marcus said quietly. "Not for the reason you thought. But yeah, I needed to see this." He hung up before Jennifer could respond. Marcus spent the rest of the night watching footage. Every interaction between Rosa and Lily, every small kindness, every sacrifice Rosa made without expecting recognition or reward. At 4:30 a.m., Marcus finally closed his laptop, sat in his office as the sun started to rise, made a decision. At 7 o'clock a.m., Rosa arrived for work. Marcus met her at the door. "Mr. Wellington." She looked surprised. "You're home? I need to talk to you." Fear flashed across her face. Did I do something wrong? Is Lily okay? Lily's fine. She's still sleeping. Marcus gestured to the kitchen table. "Please, sit." Rosa sat slowly, hands folded in her lap. Waiting to be fired, Marcus realized. She thought this was the end. "I know about your daughter," Marcus said. All color drained from Rosa's face. "I know about the surgery she needs. I know you've been sending money home. I know Carlos brought you funds yesterday." Rosa stood up abruptly. "Mr. Wellington, I swear to you, I have never taken anything from your home. Never. The money is mine. From my salary. I would never—" "Rosa, sit down, please." She sat, but she was trembling. Marcus pulled out his phone, opened his banking app, showed her the screen. "I'm wiring $20,000 to your account today. That should cover the surgery and recovery costs." Rosa stared at the screen. I don't understand." "Your daughter needs surgery. I'm paying for it." "No." Rosa shook her head violently. "No, sir, I cannot accept this. It's too much. I cannot—" "It's not a loan. It's a gift." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Wellington, why would you do this?" Marcus's throat was tight. "Because I installed cameras throughout this house." Rosa went very still. "My sister convinced me you might be, that I needed to make sure Lily was safe. So I put cameras everywhere, and I watched the footage last night." "Sir, I saw everything, Rosa. I saw you making the memory book, teaching Lily about the moon, sitting with her through her tantrums, reading to her every night, bringing her soup that tasted like her mother's. I saw you praying for her every morning. I saw you crying in the bathroom so she wouldn't see. I saw you walking with a limp because you're saving bus fare. I saw you give up your lunch breaks to water Sophia's plants." Rosa was crying fully now. "I saw you be the mother my daughter needed when I was too broken to be the father she deserved." "She's a beautiful child," Rosa whispered. "She deserves everything." "So does your daughter. So do you." Marcus's voice cracked. "I've been so buried in my own grief, I didn't see what was right in front of me. You've been saving my daughter while your own daughter is dying, and you never said a word." "I didn't want to burden you." "Rosa, you've been carrying both of our burdens. You've been holding up this entire household while I fell apart. The least I can do is help save your child's life." Rosa covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Marcus continued quietly. "I'm also tripling your salary, effective immediately, and I'm covering your housing costs so you can stop sending rent money home and start sending more for your daughter's recovery. And," he paused, "when your daughter is well enough, I want to sponsor her immigration. Bring her here. You shouldn't have to be separated from her." "Mr. Wellington, this is too much. I cannot accept all of this. I'm just a housekeeper. I'm just—" "You're not just anything. You're the person who saved my daughter when no one else could reach her. You're the person who loved her when I was too devastated to love anyone. You're the person who sacrificed everything without asking for anything in return." Rosa was shaking her head. "I just did what any person would do." "No," Marcus said firmly. "Most people wouldn't. Most people would have treated it like a job. Showed up, watched the clock, left. You gave her your heart." There was a sound from upstairs, small footsteps. "Miss Rosa?" Lily's voice called. "Are you here?" Rosa wiped her eyes quickly, started to stand, but Marcus put a hand on her arm. "Wait," he said. He raised his voice. "Lily, come down here, sweetie." Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, still in pajamas, hair messy, clutching the stuffed elephant Sophia had given her. She ran straight to Rosa, who caught her in a hug. "Good morning, Princessa," Rosa said, kissing the top of her head. "Morning, Miss Rosa." Lily looked at Marcus, seemed surprised to see him. "Daddy, you're home." "Yeah, baby, I'm home." Lily looked between them, sensing the emotional weight in the room. "Why is Miss Rosa crying?" Marcus crouched down to his daughter's level. "Miss Rosa got some very good news. Her daughter, your friend who lives far away, remember?" Lily nodded. "In Guatemala. Miss Rosa talks to her on the phone sometimes." "That's right. Well, her daughter has been sick, but now we're going to help her get better." "Oh," Lily's face lit up. "That's good. I don't want Miss Rosa to be sad." "Me neither, baby." Lily threw her arms around Rosa's waist. "I'm glad your daughter is going to be okay, Miss Rosa." Rosa couldn't speak, just held Lily and cried. Over the following weeks, Marcus did something he should have done months ago. He actually showed up. He cut his hours at work, started having dinner with Lily every night, participated in the bedtime routine. He watched Rosa interact with his daughter and learned from her. The patience, the presence, the way she validated every feeling without trying to fix it too quickly. He also learned Rosa's story, how she'd left Guatemala 12 years ago after her husband died, trying to build a better life for her daughter, Maria. How she'd sent money home faithfully every month so Maria could get an education. How Maria had developed a heart condition 3 years ago that required specialized surgery they couldn't afford in Guatemala. How Rosa had been working 3 jobs before Marcus hired her, barely sleeping, destroying her body to save her daughter's life. The surgery happened 2 weeks after Marcus wired the money. It was successful. Maria would need follow-up care, but the doctors said she'd live a full life. Rosa cried when she got the news. So did Marcus. 3 months later, Marcus was playing blocks with Lily in the living room. Actually playing, not just supervising while on his phone, when Rosa came in from the market. "Mr. Wellington, can I speak with you?" "Of course. And Rosa, please call me Marcus. You're not just an employee, you're family." Rosa smiled, but she looked nervous. "I received approval for Maria's visa. She can come in 6 weeks." "That's wonderful." "Yes, but Marcus, this means I will need time to find a bigger apartment, somewhere she can have her own room, and I'll need to enroll her in school, and—" Rosa's voice got tight. "I don't know how to be a mother to a teenager after so many years apart. What if she doesn't remember me? What if she resents me for leaving?" Marcus stood up. "First, you're not finding an apartment. The guest house out back has been empty since we moved here. It's yours, 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, private entrance. You and Maria will live there." "Marcus, I cannot." "Yes, you can. And second, Maria might be angry. She might need time to adjust. But you know what? You're an expert at helping people through difficult transitions. You helped Lily. You'll help Maria, and we'll help you. Rosa's eyes filled with tears again. Why are you doing all this? Because I installed those cameras thinking I'd catch you failing. Instead, I caught you succeeding in ways I never thought to measure. You taught me that showing up matters, that consistency matters, that love isn't convenient, it's sacrifice. He glanced at Lily, who was watching them with curious eyes. My daughter is thriving because you showed up every day and chose to pour your whole heart into someone else's child. That's not something I can repay with money, but I can make sure you and your daughter have the safety and security to build the life you've both earned. 6 weeks later, Marcus drove Rosa to the airport to pick up Maria. Lily insisted on coming. She'd made a welcome sign with markers, covered in hearts and flowers. Maria emerged from customs looking terrified. She was 14, small for her age, with her mother's eyes. She saw Rosa and froze. Rosa walked toward her slowly. Mi amor, te extrañé tanto. I missed you so much. Maria stood rigid for a moment. Then she crumbled into her mother's arms, both of them crying, both of them holding on like they'd never let go. Marcus watched from a distance, Lily's hand in his. His daughter whispered, "Daddy, why are they crying?" "Because they're happy, baby. Because they haven't seen each other in a very long time. And now they're together again." "Like how I miss Mama." Marcus's chest tightened. "Yeah, like that. But I can't get Mama back." "No, sweetheart, we can't." Lily thought about this. "But we have Miss Rosa, and now she has Maria, so nobody's alone anymore." Out of the mouths of babes, that night, after Rosa and Maria got settled in the guest house, Marcus sat in his office and pulled up the camera footage one more time. But this time, he wasn't looking for evidence of wrongdoing. He was looking for moments he'd missed while he was drowning. He found footage of Rosa singing to Lily in Spanish, teaching her words she'd never learn in preschool. Footage of Rosa talking to Sophia's photo when she thought no one could see. "I'm taking care of your baby," she'd whisper. "I promise you, I'm keeping her safe." Footage of Rosa praying every morning, "Please help me be enough. Please help this family heal." And recent footage from just last week, Lily, unprompted, walking into the kitchen where Rosa was cooking. She'd wrapped her small arms around Rosa's legs and said, "I love you, Miss Rosa." Rosa had stopped stirring, put down the spoon, picked up Lily, and held her close. "I love you too, Princessa, so very much." Marcus watched his daughter's face in that moment. Peaceful, content, loved. He finally closed the laptop and did something he hadn't done since Sophia died. He went to Lily's room, where she was already asleep, sat in the rocking chair, and just watched her breathe, studied her face, saw Sophia in the curve of her cheek, in the way her eyelashes rested against her skin. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the room, to Sophia's memory, to Lily, to himself. "I'm sorry I checked out. I'm sorry I almost missed this. I'm sorry I was so focused on my pain that I couldn't see past it." Lily stirred but didn't wake. "But I'm here now. I'm showing up, and I'm going to keep showing up. I promise." The next morning, Marcus woke up to voices in the backyard. He looked out his window and saw Rosa and Maria in the garden, Rosa teaching her daughter about the plants. Lily ran out in her pajamas to join them, and Maria smiled, tentative but real, as Lily chattered excitedly about the flowers. Marcus watched them for a long moment, 3 people who'd all lost something irreplaceable. 3 people who'd been brought together by circumstances that could have destroyed them. But they weren't destroyed. They were healing. Together. Marcus grabbed his coffee and went outside to join them. "Good morning," he called. "Daddy," Lily ran to him. "Maria's teaching me Spanish words for flowers." "Is she? That's wonderful." Maria looked at him shyly. "Thank you, Mr. Wellington, for helping my mother, for letting us stay here." Marcus crouched down to her level. "You can call me Marcus, and you don't need to thank me. Your mom saved my daughter's life. This is the least I could do." Over the following months, something remarkable happened. The house that had been a mausoleum of grief transformed into a home again. Lily and Maria became inseparable. Marcus cut his work hours permanently, made sure he was home for dinner every night. Rosa taught everyone to cook her grandmother's recipes. They started having Sunday dinners together, all 5 of them. Marcus, Lily, Rosa, Maria, and sometimes Carlos, who'd become like family too. One Sunday, 6 months after Maria arrived, Marcus stood at the stove, helping Rosa prepare dinner. Lily and Maria were setting the table, arguing playfully about whose turn it was to fold napkins. "Marcus," Rosa said quietly, "I've been meaning to ask you something." "What's that?" "The cameras, are they still there?" Marcus paused, met her eyes. "Yes, I never took them down." Rosa nodded slowly. "And do you still watch?" "Sometimes, not to monitor you, just to—" He struggled for the right words. "To remind myself of what matters, of how much I almost missed, of how blind grief made me." "And what do you see now when you watch?" Marcus looked at Lily and Maria laughing together. "I see a family. Not the one I planned, not the one I thought I'd have, but a family that showed up when we needed each other most." Rosa smiled. "Dios proveerá." "What does that mean?" "God will provide. I told Carlos that when he wanted me to ask you for money. I said God would provide." She laughed softly. "I thought it would be through extra shifts, or maybe a loan. I didn't know God's provision would look like this." "Neither did I." They stood in comfortable silence, cooking side by side. "Thank you," Marcus said finally, "for not giving up on Lily, on me, on this family." "Thank you for seeing me," Rosa replied, "for looking past your fear and seeing who I really was." That night, after dinner, after Maria and Lily had gone to bed, Marcus did something he hadn't done in over a year. He pulled out the box of Sophia's things he'd been avoiding. Photos, letters, small mementos. He'd been too afraid to look at them, afraid the grief would swallow him whole. But Rosa sat with him, helped him go through each item, listened to the stories, cried with him when he cried. "She'd be proud of you," Rosa said, holding a photo of Sophia and baby Lily, "of the father you've become, of the man who chose to show up." "I'm not sure about that. I failed for a long time." "Failure isn't falling down, Marcus. Failure is staying down. You got back up. That's what counts." Marcus looked at the photo, Sophia's smile, the way she held Lily like she was the most precious thing in the world. "I think she'd be proud of you, too," he said to Rosa. "I think she'd be grateful you were here when I couldn't be. I think she'd call you a gift." Rosa wiped her eyes. "Then we honor her memory by continuing, by loving Lily, by being present." "Deal." A year later, Marcus stood in his backyard watching Lily's 6th birthday party. She was running around with Maria and half a dozen school friends, covered in cake frosting, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. Jennifer had driven up from Connecticut for the party. She found Marcus by the drink table. "I need to apologize," she said without preamble. Marcus looked at her. "For what?" "For telling you to install those cameras, for making you suspicious of Rosa. I was wrong." "No," Marcus said. "You were right. I needed to install them, just not for the reason you thought." Jennifer was quiet for a moment, watching Rosa help one of the children with a paper crown. "She's remarkable." "Yeah, she is. And Maria seems to be doing well." "She is? Top of her class, wants to be a doctor." Marcus smiled. "Says she wants to help kids with heart conditions like she had." "That's beautiful." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the party. "You know what's funny?" Marcus said. "I spent 6 months after Sophia died thinking God had abandoned us, thinking I was being punished for something. But looking at this," he gestured to Lily and Rosa and Maria, to the home they'd built together, "I think maybe God was there the whole time, just not in the way I expected." "How do you mean?" "I expected comfort, easy answers, magic solutions that would make the pain go away. But instead, God sent me Rosa, a woman with her own unbearable pain, her own impossible situation. And somehow, by helping each other, we both survived. We both healed." Jennifer smiled. "That's a better sermon than most I've heard in church." "Yeah, well, I learned it from a housekeeper who refused to give up on a broken family." As the party wound down and guests started leaving, Marcus found himself in the kitchen with Rosa, cleaning up wrapping paper and plastic forks. "Marcus," Rosa said, "Maria and I have been talking." "Oh?" "She wants to know if she can call you Tio Marcus, Uncle Marcus." Marcus's throat got tight. "I'd be honored." "And Lily has been asking." Rosa paused. "She wants to know if she can call me Tia Rosa." "What did you tell her?" "I told her she should ask you first." Marcus set down the trash bag. "Rosa, you've been more than an aunt to Lily. You've been—" He stopped, choosing his words carefully. "You can never replace Sophia. No one can. But you've been the mother figure Lily needed when I couldn't be there. If she wants to call you Tia, that's more than okay with me." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." "No, thank you for everything." That night, after Maria and Rosa had gone back to the guest house, after the party decorations were put away and the house was quiet, Marcus sat in Lily's room while she got ready for bed. "Daddy," she said as he tucked her in, "today was the best birthday ever." "Yeah? Better than when you were 4? Lily thought about this seriously. "I don't remember being 4 very well. That was when Mama died." Marcus's chest tightened. "Yeah, baby, it was. But today was really good. All my friends were here, and Maria and Tia Rosa made that special cake, and you played all the games with us." "I had fun, too." Lily was quiet for a moment. "Daddy, is it okay that I'm happy, even though Mama's not here?" The question hit Marcus like a physical blow. "Oh, sweetheart, come here." He pulled her into a hug. "Yes, it is absolutely okay to be happy. Mama would want you to be happy. She loved you so much, and all she ever wanted was for you to have a beautiful life full of joy and love. But I miss her." "I know. I miss her, too. And it's okay to miss her and be happy at the same time. Both things can be true." Lily pulled back, looked at him with serious eyes. "Do you think Mama knows about Tia Rosa and Maria?" "I think she does. Do you think she's happy we found them?" Marcus smiled through his tears. Yeah, baby. I think she's very happy. I think she's grateful they found us when we needed them most. Me too. Lily yawned. I'm glad we're not sad all the time anymore. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. After Lily fell asleep, Marcus went to his office and opened his laptop one more time. He pulled up the camera footage from today's party, watched Rosa help Lily blow out her candles, watched Maria translate a joke for one of Lily's friends who only spoke Spanish, watched himself, really watched himself, playing tag with the kids, fully present, laughing genuinely for the first time in years. He scrolled back further, found footage from a year ago, from those first terrible days after he'd installed the cameras. Watched himself walk past Lily without really seeing her. Watched Rosa carry the weight of an entire household on her shoulders while hiding her own devastating crisis. Then he did something he'd been avoiding. He pulled up footage from the day Sophia died. The cameras had been installed by the previous owners for security, and Marcus had never deleted the old files. He watched himself come home that afternoon, shell-shocked, moving like a ghost. Watched the neighbor who'd picked up Lily from preschool hand her over. Watched his daughter ask where Mommy was, and watched himself unable to answer, just staring at her with empty eyes. The first three nannies appeared in the footage like blurs, faces he barely remembered now, all of them professional, efficient, and completely unable to reach the traumatized little girl who'd lost her mother. Then Rosa appeared. That first day, 3 weeks after the funeral, Marcus watched her walk and saw Lily run and hide under the table, saw Rosa sit down on the floor and just stay there, talking softly, not forcing anything, just being present. Marcus had been in his office during that moment on a conference call, completely checked out. He'd missed it all. He watched footage of Rosa over the following weeks, saw her research child psychology on her phone during Lily's naps, saw her call someone, Carlos probably, asking for advice about grief in children, saw her spend her own money on art supplies because she'd read that creative expression helps kids process trauma. One clip made Marcus pause and rewind. It was from a month after Rosa started. Marcus had come home late, around 9 p.m., stressed from a board meeting. Lily had been having nightmares, waking up screaming for her mother several times a night. Marcus had been so exhausted he could barely function. That night, he'd gone straight to his room without checking on Lily. The footage showed Rosa hear Lily crying, get up from her own bed in the small room off the kitchen, and go to the nursery. She'd held Lily for 2 hours, rocking her, singing to her, until she finally fell back asleep. Then Rosa had gone to her room and called someone. Marcus turned up the volume, heard her speaking in Tagalog through tears. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the exhaustion in her voice, the weight of carrying everyone else's pain while her own daughter was dying thousands of miles away. She'd hung up the phone, cried for maybe 5 minutes, then pulled out her laptop and researched more therapy techniques for traumatized children. At 2 a.m., while her body was clearly begging for sleep, she was learning how to save his daughter. Marcus closed the laptop, sat in the dark office. How many moments like that had there been? How many times had Rosa sacrificed her own well-being, her own grief, her own desperate situation to hold his family together. He pulled out his phone, sent Rosa a text. "Thank you for everything. I know I say it a lot, but I don't think I can say it enough. You saved us." The response came quickly. "You gave me a reason to keep fighting. You saved us too." 2 years after that birthday party, Marcus got a call that changed things again. It was from an immigration attorney, not the one he'd hired for Rosa, but someone new. "Mr. Wellington, I'm calling on behalf of Rosa Delgado. She's applied for permanent residency and citizenship, and she's listed you as a character reference. Would you be willing to provide testimony?" "Absolutely, whatever she needs." "The hearing is in 3 weeks. Fair warning, her case is complicated. Extended period of undocumented status, deportation risk. The judge will want to see compelling evidence of why she should be allowed to stay." "I'll be there." Marcus called Rosa immediately. "Why didn't you tell me about the citizenship hearing?" "I didn't want to bother you. You've already done so much." "Rosa, your family. This isn't a bother. I'm testifying." "Marcus, you don't have to." "I'm testifying. End of discussion." The day of the hearing, Marcus took off work, put on his best suit, brought a folder full of documents he'd prepared. Letters from Lily's teachers about how stable and happy she'd become. Medical records showing her improved mental health. Testimonials from neighbors about Rosa's character. He also brought something else. A USB drive with security footage. The courtroom was intimidating. Formal, cold, everything about it designed to make people feel small. Rosa sat at a table with her attorney, Maria, beside her for support. She looked terrified. The judge was a woman in her 60s, stern expression, reading through Rosa's file with pursed lips. "Ms. Delgado," she began, "you overstayed your visa by 18 months. You worked without authorization. You failed to report your status change to immigration authorities. These are serious violations." "Yes, Your Honor." Rosa's voice was barely audible. "I understand. Why should this court grant you permanent residency despite these violations?" Rosa's attorney stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to call Marcus Wellington to testify." Marcus walked to the stand, was sworn in, looked at Rosa, who had tears in her eyes. "Mr. Wellington," the attorney began, "how do you know Rosa Delgado?" "She's my daughter's caregiver, has been for 2.5 years." "And during that time, what has your experience been?" Marcus took a breath. "My wife died 2 years before I hired Rosa. Aneurysm. Sudden, unexpected, devastating. My daughter Lily was 4 years old. She was drowning in grief, and I was so buried in my own pain that I couldn't reach her. I hired and fired 3 nannies in 2 months. None of them could help." He looked directly at the judge. "Then Rosa came into our lives, and within weeks my daughter was smiling again, eating again, sleeping through the night. Rosa didn't just watch my child, she saved her life." "How do you mean, saved her life?" "Lily was shutting down. The child psychologist warned me she was at risk for serious developmental trauma. Rosa pulled her back from that edge. She used techniques I later learned she'd developed caring for her own brother who had special needs. She researched child psychology on her own time. She spent her own money on therapeutic materials. She held my daughter through nightmares and tantrums and grief spirals that I was too broken to handle. The judge was watching him carefully. But here's what makes Rosa's story even more significant, Marcus continued. While she was saving my daughter, her own daughter was dying in Guatemala. Maria needed emergency heart surgery that cost over 15,000. Rosa was sending every spare dollar home, walking to work to save bus fare, skipping meals to save money, working herself to exhaustion. And she never once asked me for help because she didn't want to burden a grieving family. He pulled out the USB drive. Your Honor, I have security footage that documents everything I'm saying. Hours and hours of Rosa caring for my daughter with a level of dedication and love that went far beyond any professional obligation. May I show you? The judge nodded. Marcus's attorney set up a laptop. Marcus had prepared a compilation, the most important moments. Rosa making the memory book. Rosa praying every morning for Lily's healing. Rosa crying in the bathroom, then composing herself to return to a smiling professional demeanor. Rosa researching therapy techniques at 2 a.m. Rosa using her lunch breaks to preserve Sophia's things for Lily. The courtroom was silent as the footage played. This woman, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion, stayed in this country illegally, not because she wanted to game the system or take advantage of anyone. She stayed because leaving would have meant abandoning a traumatized child who desperately needed her. She chose my daughter's well-being over her own safety. When you discovered her immigration status, the judge asked, why didn't you report her? Because by then I understood who she really was. Not someone breaking laws for personal gain, but someone sacrificing everything for a child who wasn't even hers. Someone demonstrating more love and integrity than most citizens I know. And you sponsored her work visa? I did. And I'm sponsoring her permanent residency. And when she's eligible for citizenship, I'll sponsor that too. Because Rosa Delgado embodies everything we claim to value in this country: sacrifice, hard work, putting children first, loving your neighbor as yourself. If we deport her, we're not protecting America. We're sending away exactly the kind of person who makes America worth protecting. The judge was quiet for a long moment. Ms. Delgado, do you have anything to add? Rosa stood, shaking. Your Honor, I know I broke the law. I don't make excuses for that. But I was facing an impossible choice. Leave a child who needed me, or stay and risk deportation. I chose the child. I would make the same choice again. Her voice got stronger. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking for a chance to stay in the country where my daughter now lives, where we've built a life, where I can continue caring for the family that became mine when I had nothing. I am asking to be judged not just by my legal status, but by my character and my contributions. Maria stood suddenly. Your Honor, may I say something? The judge looked surprised, but nodded. My name is Maria Delgado. I'm Rosa's daughter. I was 15 when I almost died from a heart condition we couldn't afford to treat in Guatemala. My mother left me there when I was small because she was trying to earn money for my medical care. I was angry at her for years. I thought she abandoned me. Tears streamed down Maria's face. But then I came here and saw what she'd been doing, how she worked 3 jobs, how she sent money home every month without fail, how she walked miles in pain to save bus fare, how she gave up food and sleep and her own comfort to save my life. And I saw how she cared for Lily the same way, like she was her own daughter. Maria looked at the judge. If you deport my mother, you're not just sending away an undocumented worker. You're tearing apart 2 families. You're taking away the person who saved 2 children's lives. Please, please let her stay. The courtroom was dead silent. The judge was reading through documents, her expression unreadable. Finally, she looked up. Mr. Wellington, you're prepared to continue sponsoring Ms. Delgado's residency? For as long as necessary, Your Honor. And you'll accept financial responsibility if she becomes a public charge? Without hesitation. The judge looked at Rosa. Ms. Delgado, what you did was technically illegal, but after reviewing the evidence and hearing these testimonies, I'm satisfied that your violation stemmed from extraordinary circumstances rather than willful disregard for our laws. Rosa's attorney grabbed her hand. I'm granting your petition for permanent residency, the judge continued. You'll be eligible to apply for citizenship in 5 years. Use that time to continue demonstrating the character you've shown in Mr. Wellington's testimony. This country needs more people like you, not fewer. Rosa collapsed into her attorney's arms, sobbing. Maria was crying. Marcus was crying. Even the court reporter looked misty-eyed. After the hearing, outside the courthouse, Rosa hugged Marcus so tightly he could barely breathe. Thank you, she kept saying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't have to thank me, Marcus said. You earned this. You've always deserved to stay. Maria hugged him too. Tio Marcus, you saved our family. Your mom saved mine first. They stood in the afternoon sun, this unlikely family bound together by tragedy and choice and love that transcended biology. What do you say we go home? Marcus said. Lily's going to want to hear the good news. When they arrived at the house, Lily was waiting on the front porch. She was 8 now, tall for her age, with Sophia's smile and Marcus's stubborn streak. She saw Rosa's face and knew immediately. You get to stay, she screamed, running down the steps. Rosa caught her in a hug, both of them laughing and crying. Yes, Princessa, I get to stay. Forever? For as long as you'll have me. Lily pulled back, suddenly serious. Can I ask you something? Anything. Can I call you Mom? The question hung in the air. Marcus's breath caught. Rosa looked at him, uncertain. Lily, Marcus said gently, you know Rosa can never replace your first mom. Sophia will always be your mother. I know, Daddy, but Maria has one mom, and I have one mom in heaven. Can't I have Tia Rosa, too? She takes care of me like a mom. She loves me like a mom. Can't someone have 2 moms if one is in heaven and one is here? Marcus looked at Rosa, saw the hope and fear warring in her expression. That's Rosa's choice. Baby, if she's comfortable with it. Rosa knelt down to Lily's level, tears streaming. I would be honored if you called me Mom. So honored. But your first mom, your Mama Sophia, she's always your real mother. I'm just extra. Extra Mom, Lily said, trying out the words. I like that. She threw her arms around Rosa's neck. I love you, Mom Rosa. Rosa held her like she'd never let go. I love you too, mi hija, my daughter. Marcus watched them, his heart so full it hurt. This was his family now, not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd dreamed of back when Sophia was alive and they were planning their future, but a family built from broken pieces, held together by sacrifice and choice and love that proved deeper than blood. That night, after Maria and Rosa had gone back to the guest house, after Lily was asleep, Marcus did something he hadn't done in a while. He pulled up the old security footage one more time, but this time he went looking for something specific. He found it from 2 years ago, a clip of Rosa in Lily's room late at night when she thought everyone was asleep. She was standing by Lily's bed, watching her sleep, one hand resting gently on the child's head. Dear God, Rosa whispered in the footage, I don't know why you brought me to this family. I don't know why you gave me 2 daughters to love when I thought I'd lost everything, but thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for trusting me with these precious children. Please help me be worthy of this gift. Marcus watched Rosa pray over his daughter with such tenderness, such fierce protective love, and he finally understood something he'd been too blind to see for so long. God hadn't abandoned them when Sophia died. God had been preparing Rosa through all her suffering with Miguel, through her years of separation from Maria, through every hardship that had shaped her into someone who knew how to love broken people because she'd been broken too, and God had been preparing them to receive her, humbling Marcus through grief, breaking down his pride, teaching him that the help he needed wouldn't come in the package he expected. Marcus closed the laptop and went to Lily's room. She was sleeping peacefully, clutching the stuffed elephant Sophia had given her in one arm and a new bear Rosa had brought her tucked under the other. We're going to be okay, Marcus whispered to Lily, to Sophia's memory, to himself. We're all going to be okay. 5 years later, Marcus stood in a federal courtroom again, but this time it was for something joyful. Rosa stood at the front, right hand raised, surrounded by Marcus, Lily, Maria, and Carlos. She was wearing her best dress. Maria had done her makeup. Lily held a small American flag, practically vibrating with excitement. I hereby declare, on oath, Rosa began, her voice shaking with emotion, that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty. Marcus watched his daughter, 13 now, confident and bright, everything Sophia had hoped she'd become, mouth the words along with Rosa. Lily had studied for this moment like it was her own citizenship test. That I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Maria was crying silently, gripping Carlos's hand. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Rosa's voice broke. The judge smiled kindly, nodded for her to continue, and that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. The courtroom erupted in applause. Rosa was officially a United States citizen. Lily ran to her first, throwing her arms around Rosa's waist. "You did it, Mom Rosa! You're American now!" "We're American," Rosa corrected, pulling Maria close too. "We're finally all together in our home." Outside the courthouse, Marcus took photos of Rosa holding her naturalization certificate, flanked by both her daughters, one by birth, one by choice, both by love. "Speech!" Carlos called out. "Give us a speech, Rosa." Rosa laughed, embarrassed, but then she got serious, looked at each of them. "When I left Guatemala 17 years ago, I thought I was giving up everything for a dream. I thought I was choosing between my daughter and a better future, and that choice almost destroyed me. I spent years sending money home, working jobs that broke my body, living in fear of deportation, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake." She took Lily's hand, then Maria's. "But God had a plan I couldn't see. Every hardship, every sacrifice, every moment I thought I couldn't go on, it was all leading me here, to this family, to these daughters, to this moment." Rosa looked at Marcus. "You told me once that I saved your family, but the truth is, we saved each other. You gave me a reason to keep fighting when I wanted to give up. You gave me my daughter back. You gave me a home. You saw me when I was invisible to everyone else." "You were never invisible," Marcus said quietly. "I was just too blind to see. Maybe we both needed time to see clearly." Rosa smiled. "But we got there. And now look at us." They all looked at this family that made no sense on paper. A widowed tech executive, a Filipina immigrant, a teenager who'd survived heart surgery, and a 13-year-old who'd lost her mother but found another, connected not by blood or law, but by choice, by showing up, by refusing to give up on each other when giving up would have been easier. "I want to say something," Lily announced suddenly. She pulled out her phone, opened her notes app. "I wrote this last night because I knew I'd forget if I didn't write it down." She cleared her throat. "When my first mom died, I thought the world ended. I thought I'd never be happy again. I was so little, I barely remember being that sad, but Dad says I was really sad." Marcus nodded, throat tight. "Then Mom Rosa came, and at first I didn't want her. I didn't want anyone who wasn't my real mom. But she didn't try to be my real mom. She just stayed, even when I was mean, even when I screamed that I hated her, even when I threw things and said I wanted her to leave." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "She stayed," Lily continued, "and she loved me when I was unlovable. And she taught me that you can have two moms, one who gave you life and one who taught you how to live after losing everything. Both are real, both matter, both make you who you are." Lily looked at Rosa directly. "So thank you, Mom Rosa, for staying, for loving me, for showing me that families don't have to look a certain way to be real, for proving that the people who show up are the ones who matter most." There wasn't a dry eye in their group. "Okay, enough crying," Maria said, laughing through her tears. "This is supposed to be a celebration. Let's go get food." They went to Rosa's favorite Filipino restaurant, took over the largest table, ordered too much food, and spent hours laughing and telling stories. Stories about the early days, about Lily hiding under tables, about Maria's arrival at the airport, about the citizenship hearing, about every milestone that had brought them here. "Remember when Lily thought you were going to steal all our stuff?" Marcus said to Rosa, laughing. "That was you who thought that," Lily corrected, "because Aunt Jennifer told you to put up cameras." "Wait," Maria said. "There were cameras? You were spying on my mom?" Marcus had the grace to look embarrassed. "In my defense, I was an idiot." "Yes, you were," Rosa agreed cheerfully, "but you got better." "The cameras were actually good, though," Lily mused, "because they showed Dad what we already knew, that Mom Rosa is the best person in the world." "Second best," Maria corrected. "She's my mom first." "Our mom," Lily shot back. "Girls!" Rosa laughed. "There's enough of me for both of you." Watching his daughters bicker playfully, watching Rosa smile with such unguarded joy, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt since before Sophia died: complete peace. His phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. "Saw the photos on Facebook. I'm proud of all of you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to see what Rosa really was." Marcus typed back, "Better late than never." Another text. "I was wrong about the cameras, though. You should take them down now." Marcus smiled. He'd actually taken most of them down years ago, but he'd kept one. The one in the living room, not to spy, just to have a record, to be able to look back someday and see these moments, these ordinary, extraordinary moments of their family being together. He pulled up the camera app now, saw the live feed of his empty living room back home, the photos on the mantel, Sophia in her wedding dress, Lily as a baby, Rosa and Maria at the airport, all of them together at last year's Thanksgiving. The house that had been a tomb was a home now, full of life and noise and love. That night, after they'd dropped Carlos off and returned home, Marcus found Rosa in the kitchen making tea. "Big day," he said. "Biggest day of my life. Well, second biggest. Maria's birth was first." "Fair." Marcus leaned against the counter. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you ever regret it? Coming here? The years apart from Maria? The struggles? All of it?" Rosa was quiet for a long moment. "I regret that Maria had to grow up without me for so many years. I regret the pain that caused both of us. But do I regret coming here? No, because if I hadn't come, I wouldn't have met you and Lily, and Maria wouldn't have gotten the surgery that saved her life, and we wouldn't have this family." She met his eyes. God's plan wasn't easy, but it was good. It was always good, even when I couldn't see it. "I'm glad you stayed," Marcus said, "even when I gave you every reason to leave. I'm glad you saw something in us worth fighting for." "You weren't hard to love, Marcus. Neither was Lily. You were just buried under grief. I recognized that because I'd been buried too. Under different circumstances, in another life, I think Sophia would have loved you," Marcus said. "I think you two would have been friends. Rosa smiled sadly. I would have liked that. I talk to her sometimes, you know, to her picture in Lily's room. I tell her about her daughter, about how brave Lily is, how kind, how much she looks like her mother. What do you think she'd say if she could answer? I think she'd say thank you. Thank you for loving her daughter. Thank you for staying when things got hard. Thank you for being the person her family needed. Rosa paused. And I'd say thank you back. Thank you for creating this beautiful child who gave me a reason to keep going. Thank you for leaving behind so much love that it overflows even now. They stood in comfortable silence, two people who'd survived the unsurvivable and found each other on the other side. Upstairs, Lily called out, "Mom, Rosa, can you help me with my homework?" Rosa smiled. "Duty calls." "Hey, Rosa." She turned back. "Welcome home," Marcus said. "Officially. Welcome to America. Welcome to this family. Welcome to exactly where you were always meant to be." Rosa's eyes filled with tears one more time. It's good to finally be home. She headed upstairs, and Marcus heard Lily's laughter, heard Rosa's patient voice explaining something, heard Maria join in from her room next door. This was his family, chosen, built from nothing, held together by something stronger than blood, by showing up day after day, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. Marcus pulled out his phone one last time, opened the camera app, navigated to saved footage, found the clip he'd saved from 5 years ago, Rosa praying over Lily in the darkness. "Thank you for trusting me with these precious children." He'd kept that clip as a reminder of how close he'd come to missing this, of how almost destroyed everything by letting fear and suspicion blind him to grace. But he hadn't missed it. He'd opened his eyes just in time, had seen Rosa for who she really was, and that had made all the difference. Marcus closed the app, headed upstairs. He had homework to supervise, daughters to tuck in, a family to be present for. The work of showing up never ended. But that was okay, because now he knew showing up was everything. So let me tell you what happened after that, because this story doesn't end with a citizenship ceremony. It ends with something even better. 3 years later, Lily turned 16. She'd grown into a remarkable young woman, confident, compassionate, with plans to study psychology in college. She wanted to work with traumatized children, inspired by her own journey and by watching Rosa help her heal. Maria was in medical school, specializing in pediatric cardiology. "I want to save kids like me," she'd said. "Kids whose families can't afford the care they need. I want to be the doctor I wish I'd had." And Rosa? Rosa finally enrolled in nursing school herself. At 60 years old, she was the oldest student in her program and the most dedicated. "Better late than never," she'd say with a laugh when classmates asked why she was starting so late. But Marcus knew the truth. Rosa was finally pursuing the dream she'd set aside decades ago to save her daughter. And now, with stability and citizenship and a family supporting her, she could finally become who she'd always meant to be. On Lily's 10th birthday, Marcus did something he'd been planning for months. He gathered everyone in the living room, Rosa, Maria, Carlos, even Jennifer, who'd driven up from Connecticut. "I have an announcement," he said. Lily looked suspicious. "If this is about my curfew—" "It's not about your curfew." Marcus pulled out an envelope. "Rosa, this is for you." Rosa opened it slowly. Inside was a deed to the house. "I don't understand," she said. "I'm putting your name on the deed," Marcus explained. "This house belongs to both of us now, legally, because you're not just someone who works here or someone who lives in the guest house. You're family, and family owns the home together." Rosa couldn't speak. "There's something else," Marcus continued. He pulled out another envelope. "For Maria." Maria opened it. Inside was a check for $100,000 for medical school, Marcus said. "So you can focus on studying instead of worrying about debt. So you can become the doctor you're meant to be." Maria burst into tears. "Tio Marcus, this is too much. I can't accept—" "Yes, you can, because 8 years ago, your mother saved my daughter's life without asking for anything in return. This isn't charity. This is family taking care of family." He turned to Lily. "And for you, birthday girl." Lily opened her envelope. Inside was a letter. "Read it out loud," Marcus said. Lily's voice shook as she read. "Dear Lily, 16 years ago today, you came into this world and changed my life forever. Your mother and I had waited so long for you, prayed so hard for you, dreamed so much about who you'd become. When she died, I thought those dreams died with her, but I was wrong." Lily paused, wiping her eyes. "You became everything she hoped you'd be, not because of me, but because of the woman sitting next to you. Rosa gave you the love and stability and guidance I was too broken to provide. She saved you when I couldn't save myself. So here's my gift to you. I'm officially asking Rosa if she'll let me adopt her legally as your co-parent. If she agrees, she'll legally be your mother, not just in our hearts, but in the eyes of the law, because that's what she's always been." The room went silent. Lily turned to Rosa, tears streaming down her face. "Would you? Would you be my real mom? Legally?" Rosa couldn't speak, just nodded, sobbing. "There's paperwork to file," Marcus continued, "a process to go through. But if Rosa agrees, we'll make it official. This family that we built by choice will finally be recognized by law." "Yes," Rosa finally managed. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Lily threw her arms around Rosa. Maria joined them. Carlos was openly crying. Even Jennifer was wiping her eyes. Marcus watched them hold each other. This family he'd almost destroyed with his suspicion and fear. This family that had saved him without even trying. "I have one more thing," Marcus said quietly. "For everyone." He pulled up his laptop, opened a folder. 8 years ago, I installed security cameras in this house because I didn't trust the woman I'd hired to care for my daughter. I was wrong, so wrong, but those cameras captured something I think we need to see." He played a compilation he'd made, the greatest hits of their family being built. Rosa making the memory book. Rosa teaching Lily about the moon. The day Maria arrived. Family dinners, homework sessions. Lily calling Rosa Mom for the first time. Maria defending Rosa in court. The citizenship ceremony. every milestone, every ordinary moment that added up to extraordinary love. When it ended, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. "This is who we are," Marcus said. "This is what we built together. Not perfect, not traditional, but real. So real." "I want to say something," Jennifer spoke up. Everyone turned to her in surprise. "I'm the one who told Marcus to install those cameras. I'm the one who made him suspicious of Rosa. And I need to apologize. Rosa, I judged you without knowing you. I let fear and prejudice cloud my judgment. And I almost cost my brother and niece the best thing that ever happened to them." "Jennifer," Rosa started. "No, let me finish. I was wrong about everything, and watching these videos, seeing what you did for this family, seeing who you really are, I'm ashamed it took me so long to understand. You're not just a housekeeper or a nanny or even just family. You're a hero. You saved 2 lives and asked for nothing in return. And I'm sorry I couldn't see that from the beginning." Rosa stood up, walked to Jennifer, pulled her into a hug. "We all did what we thought was right. What matters is we're here now, together." That night, long after everyone had gone to bed, Marcus sat in his office one final time with the laptop. He navigated to the camera folder, selected all the files, and moved them to a backup drive labeled Family History. Then he went into each room and disconnected the cameras. All of them. The one in the living room, the kitchen, the hallways. He didn't need them anymore. Didn't need to watch or verify or prove anything. He knew who Rosa was. He knew who his family was. And that was enough, as he was unscrewing the last camera from its hiding place. In the living room bookshelf, he felt someone watching him. Rosa stood in the doorway in her robe. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked. "Just finishing something I should have done years ago." She walked over, looked at the camera in his hand. "Those cameras changed our lives." "For better or worse?" "For better," Rosa said firmly. "They showed you the truth when you couldn't see it any other way. Sometimes God uses unexpected tools to open our eyes." Marcus smiled. "You sound like a theologian." "I sound like someone who lived through the impossible and came out believing in miracles." They stood together in the dark living room, 2 people who'd found each other at the worst possible time and built something beautiful anyway. "Thank you," Marcus said, "for not giving up, for staying, for loving us when we didn't deserve it." "Everyone deserves love," Rosa replied. "Even broken people, especially broken people." "We're not as broken anymore." "No," Rosa agreed, smiling. "We're not." 2 years later, Rosa graduated from nursing school, top of her class at 62 years old. Lily was in college studying psychology. Maria was completing her residency. And Marcus had stepped back from his company to focus on family and a new nonprofit he'd started with Rosa, an organization helping immigrant families access health care and legal resources. They named it the Miguel and Sophia Foundation, in honor of the 2 people who'd brought them together, the 2 people whose deaths had shattered them, but ultimately led them to each other. The day Rosa got her nursing license, the whole family gathered for a celebration. But before they could cut the cake, Rosa stopped everyone. "I need to say something," she announced. "When I came to this country 20 years ago, I thought I knew what I was looking for. Money. opportunity, a better life for my daughter. But what I found was so much more than that. She looked at each of them. I found purpose when I thought I'd lost everything. I found a daughter when mine was thousands of miles away. I found a family when I was completely alone. And I found proof that God's plans are bigger and better than anything we could imagine for ourselves. Rosa's voice broke. Marcus, you told me once that I saved your family, but the truth is, you saved mine. You gave me Maria back. You gave me Lily. You gave me a home and dignity and a future I'd stopped believing in. You saw me when I was invisible, and that changed everything. She turned to Lily and Maria. My beautiful daughters, one I carried in my body, one I carry in my heart. You're both proof that love isn't about biology. It's about showing up. It's about choosing each other every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And to everyone who supported us on this journey, Carlos, Jennifer, all our friends, thank you for believing in us when this family made no sense to anyone but us. Marcus raised his glass. To Rosa, the strongest person I know, the woman who saved us all. To Mom Rosa, Lily cheered. To Mama, Maria added. They toasted, they ate cake, they laughed until their stomachs hurt. And later, when everyone had left and the house was quiet, Marcus found Rosa sitting on the back porch, looking at the stars. Thinking about Miguel, he asked, sitting beside her. Always, Rosa said softly, wondering if he can see us now. If he knows that his suffering wasn't meaningless, that it taught me how to save another child. I think he knows. I think both he and Sophia know, and I think they're proud of what we built. Rosa smiled. A family that shouldn't exist but does anyway. The best kind, Marcus agreed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the night sky. Two broken people who'd found each other in the darkness and built something that gave light to everyone around them. You know what the best part is? Rosa said finally. What? We almost missed it. You almost fired me. I almost ran away. We almost let fear destroy something beautiful before it even began. But we didn't. No, Rosa smiled. We didn't. We chose to see each other instead, and that made all the difference. Marcus thought about those cameras he'd installed so long ago, about how he'd been looking for evidence of failure and found proof of grace instead, about how the thing meant to expose wrongdoing had revealed righteousness he'd been too blind to see. I'm glad I was watching, he said. I'm glad I finally opened my eyes. Me too, Rosa said. Me too. And there, under the same moon that Rosa had once shown Lily to connect them across impossible distances, they sat together. A family built from broken pieces, held together by sacrifice and choice and love that proved stronger than blood, stronger than law, stronger than anything that tried to tear them apart. This is the story of a man who installed cameras to catch someone failing and instead caught them succeeding beyond his wildest dreams. This is the story of a woman who sacrificed everything for children who weren't hers and found that love multiplies when you give it away. This is the story of how the people who save us are often the ones we almost miss, the ones working in silence, the ones carrying unbearable weight, while we're too consumed by our own pain to notice. And this is a reminder. The help you need might not come in the package you expect. The angel in your life might be wearing an apron instead of wings. The miracle might look like an ordinary person showing up day after day, choosing love over logic, choosing sacrifice over safety. If this story touched you, if you've ever been saved by someone you almost overlooked, if you've ever been that person working in silence while carrying impossible weight, I see you, God sees you, and your sacrifice matters more than you know. Hit that subscribe button right now because the world needs more stories like this. Stories that remind us what really matters. Stories that show us how to love when love makes no sense. Stories that prove grace is real and redemption is possible and families can be built from the most unlikely pieces. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, the people who change our lives forever are often the ones we're tempted to dismiss. Don't make that mistake. Open your eyes. See who's really there. And when you find someone worth keeping, hold on tight. Because in the end, we're all just broken people looking for someone brave enough to love us anyway. And when we find them, when we recognize them, when we choose them back, that's when miracles happen. That's when everything changes. That's when we finally understand what family really means. Thank you for watching. Now go subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.